When I got home from school one day, I heard loud laughter and glasses clinking from the lounge. I got out of sight quickly before anyone spotted me. Ugh, it was Mom and her friends. They always sounded like a group of hyenas when they got together. I heard one of her friends say, "But seriously, you're so beautiful. Can't believe your daughter is that ugly." Mom laughed, and so did everyone else. In case you haven't guessed already, I don't like my mom. In fact, I hate her. She really seems like such an airhead. She enjoys nothing except gossip and shopping. And I hate the way she dresses. Once she came to school and I wanted to die of embarrassment. She was wearing the tightest, shocking pink dress and had a ton of makeup on. And she was strutting down the street like she was a runway model. The boys in my class were staring and grinning at her. It was so gross. To make it worse, I heard one of them say, "Wow, now we know where Ella gets her looks from. I should ask her out already." Yeah, great. Except they weren't talking about me. My name is Mallory. My sister, Ella, who's a couple of years younger than me, is one of the most popular girls in school. People are so shocked when they find out we're related. She looks just like Mom and acts just like her too. I told Dad about how Mom had turned up at school and how I hated the way she acted. He sighed and said she didn't used to be this way before, but she changed completely after her sister left. I didn't even know she had a sister, but her ditziness wasn't why I really hated her. I still couldn't forget that night when I had woken up in the middle of the night feeling really thirsty. I was on my way to the kitchen to grab some water when I heard Mom's loud sobbing and Dad's voice coming from their bedroom. What's going on? I wondered. I crept up to their room and peered in through the slightly open door. Dad was sitting on the bed, his head in his hands, and Mom was kneeling next to him, crying and begging him to forgive her. "How could you do this, Melissa?" Dad said, his voice full of despair. "And with my best friend, you ruined everything." Please don't say that," Mom sobbed even louder. "Please say you'll forgive me. It was a terrible mistake." I couldn't listen to any more of this. My head and heart felt like they were going to burst. Mom had been cheating on Dad with Jack? God, I had never liked that scumbag. Dad packed his bags the next morning and left. He kissed me on the cheek and said he was going away on a business trip. He looked so heartbroken. I knew he wasn't going on any trip. He was moving out. I couldn't even say anything. I just choked back my tears and nodded. I couldn't stand to be around Mom. I could hear her crying in her room, and I just wanted to smash something in her face. It was all her fault Dad had left, and he might never come back. Just then, the door opened, and it was Dad. Oh, thank God. Clearly, he had decided to forgive Mom and give their marriage another chance. I was so relieved to see him, but I just couldn't look at Mom in the same way ever again. I had no respect for her. The secret had been eating me up inside. I hadn't told anyone except my best friend. If I told Ella, she probably wouldn't even have believed me. She was Mommy's little puppy dog. I could hear Mom calling me down for dinner. At the table, she asked me how school was, and I pretended I hadn't even heard her. I turned to Dad and started talking about an upcoming sports event at school. When I took the first bite of the meatloaf Mom had cooked, I made a disgusted face and pushed my plate away. Yuck! That tastes awful! "I'm just going to make myself a peanut butter sandwich, again," I said. I could see the hurt look on her face, but I didn't care. I wanted to hurt her. "Mallory, it tastes just fine," Dad said sternly. "Just sit down and finish your food." "No!" I screamed, getting up from my chair. "Her food is terrible. I'd rather go hungry." And with that, I ran upstairs to my room. Before I slammed the door shut, I heard Ella talking in her sickly sweet voice. "Mommy, the meatloaf is delicious. Mallory is just going through a phase. Probably boy troubles." And then I heard them both giggle. I felt so pissed off. Gosh, could she ever stop sucking up? A couple of hours later, my stomach was growling so loudly, I was pretty sure the neighbors could hear it. I snuck into the kitchen and took a look in the fridge. Sadly, they finished the meatloaf. Ugh, I really would have to eat that peanut butter sandwich now. I was sneaking back upstairs when I heard my parents' low voices in the lounge. And I heard my name. Mom was telling Dad that she'd just had about enough of my behavior. Dad said he'd talk to me later, but it was probably just me acting out as a teenager. A couple of days later, I woke up to some shouting. "Too early to hear your screeching, Mom." Her voice was like nails on a chalkboard. I walked downstairs to find Mom waving something in Dad's face. "I just want to know how these got in your car. Who do they belong to?" she shrieked. Dad stood there silently, which seemed to make her even angrier. She threw whatever was in her hands to the floor. It was a pair of earrings, and I recognized them immediately. They were mine. I rushed over and picked them up. I felt so furious. How dare she accuse Dad of cheating? I turned to her, not bothering to hide my hatred for her one bit. "Mom, you're such a stupid psycho!" I shouted at her. "They're my earrings! I probably forgot them in Dad's car. You have no right to talk to Dad like that. I don't even know how he puts up with you. No wonder your sister left you." Mom looked completely shocked for a minute, and then she burst into tears. Just then, Ella came running to Mom's side, and she glared at me and started screaming. "Don't talk to Mom like that, you dumb cow! Seriously, what is wrong with you?" Ella said. It was Dad's turn to be furious, also at me. "Mallory, that's it! You are grounded for a week! Go up to your room, now!" Dad said. I ran up the stairs, tears pouring down my cheeks. Thanks to Mom's drama, I was now grounded. Mom gave me the cold shoulder, and I was more than happy to not talk to her. On Sunday, I heard my family leave for church service, and I let out a big whoop. Great! Finally, I could go watch some TV in the lounge. I ran downstairs joyfully, grabbed lots of snacks, and settled down on the couch when I heard something from the basement, where Dad had set up his home office. I froze for a second. No one was supposed to be home. I tiptoed down the stairs, and as I got closer to the door, I heard Dad's voice. Phew! Relief flooded over me. I was about to go back to my spot on the couch when I heard a woman's laughter. Feeling really curious, I turned back around and peered in through the door. Dad was having a video call with someone on his phone. "Emily, we have to be really careful. I have to make sure my wife doesn't suspect a thing," Dad said. I tiptoed back upstairs, feeling a bit sick. Suddenly, I lost my appetite for snacks and TV. Dad couldn't be, could he? Well, even if he was cheating, I couldn't really blame him for trying to find love somewhere else. Mom wasn't exactly wife of the year material. Later at lunch, Mom walked into the room with a bouquet of flowers and a wrap present, which she placed in front of Dad. She kissed him on the cheek and said, "Happy 15th anniversary, darling." Why thank you, Melissa." Dad looked completely surprised and flustered. He started apologizing and saying it had slipped his mind. Mom said it was totally okay, but I could tell that she was really trying hard to not look hurt. Ella squeezed her hand and gave her a sympathetic look. What a goody two-shoes. It made me feel sick. I was tired of being in the house around the two of them. I was dying to go to my best friend's house and vent. I walked downstairs to grab something from the kitchen when I saw Mom in the lounge, all by herself. She was curled up on the sofa and sobbing like a big baby. "What now?" "Geez, Mom, your favorite soap actor died?" I said sarcastically. She looked so dumb with all that mascara running down her face, but her sad face turned to a furious one in seconds. She jumped up from the couch and glared at me with bloodshot eyes. She was a small woman, but it scared me. "I've had enough of your nonsense. I'm going to throw you out of my house, and your good-for-nothing cheating dad, too," Mom yelled. "You're a paranoid freak. Dad would never cheat on you," I managed to scream back. Ella had heard our screaming and come running. To Mommy Dearest's defense, I'm sure. "Oh, really? Well, take a look at this. And of all the people, Anna sent it to me. She'll make sure I'm a laughingstock." And with that, she thrust her phone screen in my face. I could tell in an instant that it was Dad, in what seemed to be a really fancy restaurant. Sitting next to him was a beautiful blonde woman dressed in red. They seemed to be having a good laugh. I fell silent for a few seconds, trying to take it all in. Could this be, what was her name? Emily? I just looked at her coldly and said, "So what if he is cheating on you? You deserve it. You cheated on him first." Mom stood frozen on the spot, her eyes wide, her mouth slightly open. Ella looked equally stupid. "Aha! I know you cheated on Dad with Jack, and I will always hate you for it." I was shaking now. Mom sank to the couch. After what seemed like ages, she looked at me and said, "Oh, Mallory, you've got it all wrong." She then explained that she had made a bad investment decision with Jack behind Dad's back. Jack had turned out to be a con man and had run away with all their money. It was a huge blow. Wait, she expected me to believe her nonsense now? Really? No. My dad was better than her, and we all knew that. Ella had the phone in her hands now, and she was staring at the picture. Finally, she said angrily, "How could he do this to you, Mom?" I looked at them and said, "No, he isn't a cheater, you idiot. Dad is innocent, and we can ask him together." Mom was hurt and said he wouldn't confess. Then I said, "You know what? I'm going to spy on him just to prove you wrong." So here I was the next day, a couple of blocks away from Dad's office, hiding out in Mom's car. She'd made me skip school and sent me off in her car. Half the day had gone by with nothing happening. I'd almost dozed off when I saw Dad walk out of the building. A shiny black car had driven up outside the main entrance. A leggy blonde in high heels stepped out of it. My dad kissed her on the cheek, and then he got into the car with her, and they drove off. I frantically revved up my engine and started following them. Where were they going? I wondered. We had been on the road for 2 hours now. We left town and were on an empty road between a stretch of fields. Just a few moments later, the car turned left onto a smaller road leading up to a huge mansion. I parked my car at a distance and walked up to it on foot. I quietly slipped in through the main door. I walked down the large hallway and heard Dad and that Emily talking in another room. Suddenly, I could hear her clicking heels getting louder, and in panic, I ducked behind the huge plotted plant near me. "Wow, this really is a beautiful place, Em," Dad said. "And it'll all be yours soon." "Yes, thanks to you," she said, looking at him with a huge smile. "As soon as you can get that wife of yours to sign the papers." Her evil laugh echoing through the hallway made my blood run cold. And what was worse, Dad joined her. That wasn't the worst of it. They started going up the stairs, and suddenly Emily lost her balance. Dad was quick to catch her. "Oh my God, Em, are you okay? You really shouldn't be wearing such high heels," Dad said. "Oh goodness, yes, I'm fine. You're right, I should be more careful. What with the baby on the way?" She smiled shyly up at Dad, who smiled back, and they went upstairs. My legs shaking, I bolted towards the door and ran to my car. I'd heard enough. Dad wasn't just replacing Mom, he was about to replace me with a shiny new baby. I felt so heartbroken. I drove back home like a mad person, rushed out of the car, and called out to Mom. There was no reply. I ran up the stairs and looked in every room, and I couldn't find her anywhere. I had her car. Where could she have gone? Suddenly, I noticed a large note stuck on the fridge. "Hey Mel, your dad sent a card for me to take somewhere secret. I have to go see what this is all about. Maybe I'll get some answers. Don't wait for me for dinner. I've taken Ella with me." Oh, no! I frantically tried to call Mom, but there was no answer. This was so bad. And there I was on the road again, driving another 2 hours like a crazy person to some unknown location. I knew exactly where that was. I parked my car at the gate and rushed to the mansion. Emily's car was still there, and Mom and Ella must have been inside because another car was parked outside. I ran in through the main door and looked in all the rooms downstairs. Nothing. I ran upstairs and heard voices from one of the bedrooms. I peered in and saw all 4 of them in there. Mom and Emily were crying. "I still don't understand why you suddenly left," Mom wept. "You just broke my heart, Em." "Oh, Mal, you know how hard it was with Mom and Dad. I couldn't live that life anymore, and I didn't even find out till much later about their accident, which is why I never came to the funeral. Just please forgive me. I will make it up to you," Emily sobbed. I stood there in shock. So this was the long-lost sister. My sister was there, crying like an idiot. Then Mom hugged Dad and thanked him for reuniting them. And behind her back, he mouthed, "I love you, babe." Then he winked at Emily, who also mouthed, "I love you too, babe." I looked at my sister, who had just witnessed this. We exchanged worried looks. Then Mom said, "We are all going to have so much fun together." Oh, poor Mom. For the